welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. Excuse me, sir.
Donnie G.
Oh, this is Marvin Doc Cheatham. All right. What are you doing here, Doc Cheatham?
I'm starting my campaign early, running for the House of Delegates in the 40th District.
And this is the 40th District. That's Mondawmin over there. All right, young men, hold this out. What's the platform there, Doc Cheatham?
Donnie, it's time for an improvement in our elected representation in Baltimore City. A time for a change. We've had 7.5 years of elected leadership. For the most part, our community doesn't know them, our community hasn't seen them, and we're in trouble. We're in troubling times, and we need better leadership. I'm offering myself running for one of the seats. I'm not running against any of the three incumbents. There are 3 seats. I just want one of those 3 seats. I think I've served the community long enough that they know I will commit to them and to only them, and I'm hoping the community will support my candidacy for the 40th District.
Well, Doc, can I ask you a question?
Of course. Hope I can answer.
We've talked to many candidates over the years, but as it relates to the 2014 statewide election in Maryland, can you give us one example of a piece of legislation that you would push? And I say that because, Doc, we've interviewed a lot of people who want to be a delegate, but they really haven't been able to articulate any legislation. Isn't that the primary role?
That's the major role of a delegate or a senator representing in Annapolis. They basically are policy workers. They basically set laws in. Let's first look at the area dealing with employment. I'm glad to see that the delegates and senators are finally getting on board with minimum wage, but we also need a living wage. That would be something I would be putting in legislation for.
What's the difference?
We also need to ban the box. Ban the box means that you have an application, and rather than putting on that initial application,
employment application
that the individual has a felony, let the individual fill out the application, get to the interview process, then ask that individual whether or not he or she has a criminal record. So it's ban the box. That would be another part of legislation that I would look for.
Okay, you were saying that initially when it comes to, it's pretty noisy out here, you're saying a living wage. What's the difference between a living wage?
A living wage and a minimum wage. Minimum wage is basically what it says. It's the bare minimum that one would get paid for a particular job. But when you look at what's happening throughout the state of Maryland, throughout the country, that it takes more than just a minimum wage to raise a family, to feed them, to send your children to school. So yes, we're very supportive as we were this year. I'm happy to see delegates and senators finally getting on board, but this was something that we supported this past session. We know that they're going to be introducing a lot of legislation this upcoming year, which is good, but why didn't they do it this year? Why didn't they do it last year? In the area of education, yes, we strongly support the initiative that passed, and we were there. I was there supporting the increase in funding. But we also need to look at HBCUs. I will be looking for legislation to significantly increase the money that we were giving to HBCUs. This administration this year, our senators and delegates failed us in Annapolis. There's a lawsuit in court right now that's saying that something went wrong with the funding. But our senators and delegates came back to Baltimore with $0 for the higher education black community college and states. We have 4 of them. It's time for improvement, Donnie. I will look at legislation to improve things, but also I will be a 24-hour-a-day delegate. Our delegates now are part-time delegates. I will be a full-time delegate. I will also live in the district in which I say I live.
You promise?
I promise. And I would tell folks I live 1620, come knock on the door, Appleton Street. You should be able to call or knock on the door of your delegate Monday through Sunday. They shouldn't live in the district just when it's convenient for them. And I am a Baltimore native. I'm not an implant. I've been here all my life, and most people know me because of my public service, not what I did for a living, because most of the delegates will tell you what they did, what they got paid to do. You know me, community.
I know that you got more people registered to vote than anybody in the state of Maryland. And so with you being out there running for House of Delegates, the one part that saddens me, Doc Cheatham, is we won't have you to help us hold the elected officials accountable from the outside. You know, you helped us to You've led the way on a report card, and it's like now, you know, I don't know. We want you as a candidate. We can't get the skinny.
But Donnie, I'm gonna break the news right here for you for BMoreNews.com. The city of Baltimore, according to law, since January 1 through September 1 of this year, has removed 59,000 voters.
What?
59,000 voters have been removed from the Baltimore City's election roll by law. The election board did exactly what they supposed to do by law. If you haven't voted in 2 presidential elections, you got to come off. If you are deceased, you have to come off. If you move to another county, you got to come off. If you have not responded to correspondence, you had to come off. I'm not challenging what the election board did. I am saying, why didn't they tell the Democratic Central Committee? Why didn't they tell the Republican Central Committee that 59,000 voters have been removed? We need to get all of our parties back in the streets registering folks. Now, of course, we can't register folks that are dead, but if we have folks that have not voted, then we need to impress upon them the importance of voting. And these would be things that I would do, Donnie, as an elected official. We haven't heard from our elected
What was
officials.
fascinating, Doc, is that we had the greatest turnout ever 2 presidential elections ago.
That's right. We had it because...
But nonetheless, we still have 59,000 people
59
who still have not voted.
Have been no,
In 2
they've been
presidential...
removed.
They've been removed because they haven't voted in 2
presidential elections. And you know, the election board did exactly what they were supposed to do. But my issue is, why didn't they inform us? Why didn't they tell us that this many people are being taken off the rolls? Because we as candidates...
This news has not been reported anywhere else?
It hasn't been reported anywhere. You're hearing it first from me, Donnie, on BMoreNews.com.
Good deal, Doc. We're going to make this front page story right away.
God bless you, Donnie.
How can people get in touch with you?
Phone number 410-669-VOTE. 410-669-8683. If you need to email me, civilrights@verizon.net. civilrights@verizon.net, or be one of my 5,000 Facebook friends. I don't know half of who they are, but I'm glad I got 5,000 Facebook friends.
Hello, everybody seeing your campaign. Up here on the corner of Liberty Heights and what are we, Ricerstown Road. Major thoroughfare. We want you to be safe out here, Doc.
I'm gonna be safe. You know, I stay prayed up.
And we see you got your team over there.
Team over here,
and you got a team over here. All right.
We're gonna hustle, Donnie. Baltimore City needs an improved change. Elect one person. Elect Marvin Doc Cheatham in the 40th district. I'm not running against the other candidates. I'm asking you to give me one of those 3 votes. Doc Cheatham, you know the name. Doc Cheatham, I'm your public servant. I want to serve you in Annapolis.
You're watching BMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth.